Dear child, something meaningful happened in the quiet that is still unfolding. Last night was not ordinary. A decision was made when the world was asleep, and it carried weight. It wasn't impulsive, emotional, or careless. It came after struggle, prayer, and long hours of honesty with the heart. You were chosen in that stillness. If you woke up feeling different, calmer, lighter, or strangely settled, there is a reason. If you felt emotional without knowing why, or peaceful after a long season of heaviness, that was not random. That was the echo of a choice made in the unseen. Their heart finally stopped running. Their spirit finally became clear. They didn't come to this decision easily. They fought themselves. They questioned everything. They replayed conversations, memories, and moments with you. They tried to convince themselves they could move on, that they could silence what they felt, but nothing worked. The truth kept returning. Your presence kept rising. Your name kept coming back to their mind and prayers. Last night, something shifted. Fear lost its grip. Confusion loosened. And in that moment, they said yes, not just emotionally, but deeply. They said yes, even while afraid. Yes, even without knowing every step ahead. Yes, because peace followed the thought of you, and that peace felt undeniable. They whispered your name. They asked God for strength. They admitted they were tired of running, tired of resisting, tired of pretending this connection didn't matter. They realized you are not just someone they care about. You are someone their soul recognizes, someone they cannot replace, someone they don't want to lose. You may not have felt fireworks. You may not have felt excitement. Instead, you may have felt quiet, still, grounded. That calm was the sign. That was the moment their decision became real. Something broke open internally, and from that moment forward, things began to realign. Their yes became louder than their past, louder than their fears, louder than outside voices and old patterns. They stopped treating you like an option in their heart. You became the answer, the direction, the future they finally allowed themselves to consider fully. Since that moment, clarity has been forming. They know what they want now. They know who they want. They are slowly letting go of distractions, closing doors that don't belong, and clearing space for what is real. This doesn't mean they suddenly became fearless. It means they became brave. They are still human. They still feel nervous. They worry about how you'll respond, whether you'll believe them, whether they waited too long. They fear not being enough. But despite that fear, they chose you. That is what makes this decision real. They are not planning to come back with confusion. They are not planning to test the waters or play games. They are thinking carefully about how to approach you with respect, honesty, and intention. They want to come correctly. They want to show growth, not just talk about it. They are preparing something. Maybe a message, maybe a call, maybe a moment when they finally speak from the heart. They don't want to rush. They don't want to bring chaos. They want to bring peace. They want their actions to match what they decided in secret. If you feel like something is building, if your spirit feels alert but calm, trust that. Do not panic over silence. Do not assume nothing is happening just because you cannot see it yet. The choice has already been made internally. What comes next is alignment. This doesn't mean everything will suddenly be perfect. It doesn't mean there won't be work, healing, or growth. but it does mean the direction is set. The running has stopped. The confusion is ending. The intention is real. Sometimes one night is enough to change a heart. Sometimes God moves quietly, without drama, without signs that scream. Sometimes the most powerful shifts happen while everything looks still. So breathe, stay steady, protect your heart without closing it. Do not force the outcome. Let what is real come forward naturally. What was chosen in the dark always finds its way into the light. The decision has already been made, and now everything is slowly but surely rearranging itself around that truth. What is unfolding is not rushed, not chaotic, and not forced. It is steady, intentional, and deeply rooted. This is the kind of movement that happens after a long inner battle finally ends. They waited longer than they ever planned to. They questioned themselves more than they admit. They tried to reason their way out of what they felt, hoping it would fade or soften with time. But instead of fading, it became clearer. Instead of weakening, it grew quieter but stronger. The hesitation that once controlled them has finally lost its power. The noise has settled. The confusion has thinned. And what remains now is clarity. They are no longer entertaining other voices. They are no longer weighing opinions or letting fear disguise itself as logic. They are no longer searching for confirmation outside of themselves. Last night, something settled it for good. It wasn't dramatic in the way people imagine signs to be. It wasn't overwhelming or frantic. It was calm, direct, and undeniable. You came to them clearly. Your name surfaced without effort. Your face appeared without force. The feeling attached to you was not anxiety or chaos, but peace. And that peace spoke louder than every doubt they had been clinging to. In that moment, they understood something they had been avoiding for a long time. They realized they couldn't keep walking away from what felt like home. Not because you are perfect, not because love suddenly became easy, but because your presence carries a kind of stillness they don't experience anywhere else. Being connected to you doesn't drain them. It grounds them. It doesn't confuse them. It centers them. Your soul touches a place in them that has been waiting quietly, patient but unresolved. And when they imagine a future that feels honest, stable, and real, you are the only person who belongs in that picture. They've doubted before. They've convinced themselves they were being foolish before. They've chosen distance over vulnerability and silence over truth. They've talked themselves out of love using fear, timing, and past wounds as excuses. But last night, something shifted at a deeper level. The tears that came were not the tears of regret or despair. They were the tears of release, the kind that come when someone finally stops resisting what they already know. For the first time, they didn't ask for escape. They didn't ask for distraction. They didn't ask for numbness. They asked for direction. They asked for courage. They asked for a path forward that didn't involve abandoning their heart again. And that matters more than it seems, because when someone finally chooses honesty over self-protection, movement begins immediately, even if nothing looks different yet. God heard that decision before it was fully formed into words. He saw their heart kneel long before their life changed outwardly. That quiet surrender, the moment they said, "I'm ready now, and I don't want fear to decide for me anymore," carried weight. It wasn't casual. It wasn't emotional impulse. It was the result of a long inner reckoning, and decisions made at that level don't fade overnight. That's why something is approaching, not in a rushed way, not in a dramatic way, but in a purposeful one. It may arrive as a message that feels different than the ones before. It may show up as a call that carries sincerity instead of hesitation. It may come as a meeting that feels heavier with meaning than words can explain. Or it may first come as a shift inside you, a calm where there used to be tension, a quiet sense of readiness without anxiety, a feeling that something long delayed is finally lining up. You will likely feel it before you see it. The atmosphere will change before the action does. Your spirit will sense movement before your mind can explain it. Peace often arrives before clarity. Stillness often comes before reunion. That's how alignment works. It whispers before it announces itself. This is why this moment is not about bracing yourself or guarding your heart tighter. It's about alignment. It's about steadiness. It's about allowing your emotions to settle without shutting down your openness. They are not delaying anymore. They are not circling the decision anymore. They are not stuck in the same fear loop that once kept them frozen. What once held them back has loosened its grip. They are stepping forward with a different posture now, less defensive, less reactive, more honest, more grounded. They are not approaching this casually. They are not coming to experiment or test feelings. They are coming with intention, with truth, with a willingness to be seen instead of hiding behind distance. What they are bringing is not perfection, but presence, not grand promises, but consistency, not words without action, but a heart that finally understands what it means to stay. The silence that once confused you is ending. The pretending that once hurt you is ending. The sense of being kept at arm's length is dissolving. Something that felt stuck is beginning to move again. And it's not random. It's not temporary. It's not fragile. It's rooted in purpose. And purpose doesn't move on impulse. It moves when timing and readiness finally meet. This goes beyond romance. It touches destiny. It touches healing. It touches old patterns that taught both of you to protect yourselves instead of trusting love. This time, they didn't choose you because they were afraid of being alone. They chose you because they can see a future that feels aligned, not forced. They didn't choose you to fill a void. They chose you because being with you actually expands them instead of shrinking them. Last night was sacred in a quiet way. There were no witnesses, no announcements, no outward changes. But inside, something irreversible happened. They told God the truth. And when someone finally agrees with what has been gently but persistently placed on their heart, the environment begins to shift. Confusion loosens. The heaviness fades. Resistance weakens. The path becomes clearer. That's why you may have felt emotional without a clear reason. That's why your dreams may have been more vivid. That's why your heart may feel both restless and peaceful at the same time. Your spirit sensed the shift before your life reflected it. In the deeper realm, the decision is already complete. What has opened cannot easily be shut again. This is not something that can be undone by past mistakes, outside opinions, or old fears. Alignment has momentum, and once it begins moving, it carries things forward with it. That's why you're being asked to breathe, to stay present, to remain ready without becoming anxious. When they come, it won't be tentative. When they speak, it won't be vague. When they show up, you'll feel the difference immediately. They're not coming to test the connection anymore. They're coming because living with regret feels heavier than facing vulnerability. They've been rehearsing the conversation in their mind, thinking about how to approach you without hiding, how to explain what's changed, how to show you that this choice is rooted, not impulsive. They want you to feel safe. They want you to trust that this is not another cycle repeating itself. And quietly, they hope you're still open enough to receive them, still grounded enough to discern truth, still willing to hear them out. What they're carrying now is not indecision, it's direction. And that direction is affecting more than just their heart. It's influencing timing, momentum, and circumstance. You may feel like things around you are speeding up or rearranging themselves. Old delays are collapsing. Old resistance is losing strength. This version of them has faced themselves honestly. They've wrestled with fear, pride, and avoidance, and they are stepping forward more humble, more aware, and more serious. They may surprise people. They may disappoint expectations. They may move differently than they ever have before. But they've reached a point where truth feels lighter than pretending. And this choice is not about the idea of you. It's about the reality of you. Your kindness, your depth, your steadiness, the peace you bring without effort. They've learned that excitement fades, but peace sustains. And that's what you offer them. This love cannot remain hidden much longer because it has outgrown the places where it once learned to stay quiet. It has matured in silence, strengthened in restraint, deepened through seasons where nothing moved on the surface, but everything shifted underneath. What you felt as delay was not absence. What you felt as confusion was not misdirection. It was love being tempered, learning weight, learning patience, learning how to stand without collapsing under its own intensity. This love is too full now, too honest to keep pretending it doesn't exist, too grounded to be swept away by fear or doubt. It carries depth, not urgency, certainty, not fantasy. It doesn't rush because it knows where it belongs. It doesn't shout because it trusts its own gravity. And that fullness you feel in your chest, that quiet pressure, that sense of something approaching without noise, is the signal that it has reached its tipping point. Even the painful parts were never mistakes. The long nights of wondering, the moments you questioned yourself, the distance that felt unnecessary, the silence that stretched longer than comfort. None of it was wasted. Every pause carved space. Every ache refined discernment. Every unanswered question stripped away illusion. You were not being denied love. You were being prepared to recognize the real thing when it arrived. The waiting shaped you. It taught you the difference between longing and alignment, between attachment and devotion, between wanting someone and being ready to stand beside them without losing yourself. The confusion forced clarity. The distance taught self-trust. The loneliness taught you how to sit with your own heart without abandoning it. And that is why this love will not enter your life as chaos, but as calm recognition. They won't come empty-handed. They'll come with clarity, with accountability, with action, with intention. This is not a shallow return. It's a grounded one. So stay soft, but steady. Stay open, but anchored. Let your heart breathe without abandoning your wisdom. If this is real, it will come with consistency, respect, and peace. And if you've been quietly wondering whether you were wrong to hope, know this: sometimes the Spirit recognizes truth long before life reveals it. The shift you've been feeling is real, and what's unfolding now is closer than you think.